Over the past 20 years, children growing up have their first animated short that they've seen on the internet, whether it was Charlie the Unicorn, The Duck Song, or, heaven forbid, Smile HD. For me, my very first video that I saw was the series There She Is. There She Is a South Korean flash animation series produced by a 3-person team and originally uploaded to the website Sambakza in April 2003, though it's also been uploaded to Newsgrounds and YouTube since then. It was adapted from a Korean comic strip titled One Day, which was published from November 2000 to March 2002. Since its release, it's remained in the top 20 of Newgrounds' best of all time and won various awards in the 2000 Anima Mundi Animation Festival in Brazil. But what is There She Is, you might be wondering? Just hold on, slow your roll, I'm getting to it. There She Is a romance story between an anthropomorphic rabbit named Doki and an anthropomorphic cat named Nabi. The story follows their relationship, as Doki immediately falls heads over heels for Nabi, who's initially reluctant due to fear of societal repercussions, as relationships between cats and rabbits are taboo. The series is divided into 5 shorts named There She Is, Cake Dance, Doki and Nabi, Paradise, and Imagine. Each one is animated to a different Korean song. However, with how the visuals are done, you really don't need to understand Korean to know what's going on. The shorts start out fairly lighthearted, with the stories more so focused on comedy. However, as it goes on, it slowly becomes more serious as the repercussions from Doki and Nabi's relationship begin to hit. If you haven't seen There She Is before, I highly recommend that you watch it first, since there will be spoilers in this video. The series is only about half an hour long, and I have the link in the description. Just come back to my video, please? Alright, now that you've hopefully seen the series, let's deep dive into it. Step 1 is called There She Is, and is named after the song it's animated to, which is played by a Korean band named Witches. This short starts with Doki and Nabi meeting at 2 vending machines, where Doki immediately falls heads over heels for Nabi. Nabi panics, and we learn that relationships between cats and rabbits in this world is taboo. Through the short, Nabi tries to avoid her and attempts to cure her infatuation for him, but to no avail. The short ends with Nabi deciding to give in, and perhaps catching some feelings himself. Step 1 is definitely more focused on comedy and is more lighthearted, as we mostly see the antics of Doki trying to chase Nabi down. However, we also see the seeds of future conflicts planted, not only in the fact that the relationship is taboo, but the relationship begins to encourage others to be brave enough to pursue cat-rabbit relationships, as we could see a rabbit chasing after a cat with a bouquet of flowers at the end. Step 2 is Cake Dance, and is animated to the song Happy Birthday to Me by Bulldog Mansion. In this one, it's Doki's birthday, and Nabi is trying to make it to her party while keeping her birthday cake in one piece. However, he's slowed down by dense crowds, animal stampedes, and these 3 scruffy rabbits, who mistakenly believe that Nabi forced Doki into a relationship. Nabi ends up making it to the party with the cake smashed, but Doki doesn't care, since the cake came from him. While Doki is happy with the party, unfortunately everyone gets kicked out of the restaurant, while an anti-rabbit-cat relationship sign is posted to the outside of the restaurant door. Step 2 is also more on the lighthearted side, and we see a pretty big jump in animation from the first one. The second one is a lot smoother and actually has some pretty impressive lighting. It's also timed really well with the music, and is pretty funny. From here though, things will only get deeper. Step 3 is Doki and Nabi, animated to the song Samcha Seonjin by T.A. Copy. I apologize deeply if I mispronounced that, which translates to tertiary sex characteristic. In this short, Doki and Nabi go on their first date, with Nabi initially unwilling and nervous with the pressures of them being an interspecies couple. However, he begins to reciprocate Doki's feelings more and more, with a mutual connection beginning to blossom between them. Nabi then asks Doki on a second date, which she gleefully accepts, and they share their first kiss. However, this is the calm before the storm, as Nabi has a rock thrown through his window. This third step mostly serves as a transitionary short, as we transition into not only the next stage of Nabi and Doki's relationship, but also the shift from the more lighthearted to darker tone later in the series. And with that, we transition right into the most tragic short of the series, Step 4, Paradise, this one being animated to Woolsick by Taboo. In this one, the social repercussions of Nabi and Doki's relationship is seen, both as those who are against cat-rabbit relationships become more hostile, and those who are for cat-rabbit relationships ramp it up with their protests. Doki ends up getting attacked by anti-cat-rabbit individuals, and ends up in the hospital. When Nabi sees this, he decides to break things off of her in order to protect her. Doki ends up buying tickets to Paradise, where she and Nabi could be together. Il Ho, one of the scruffy rabbits, ends up seeing this and goes to knock some sense into Nabi, accidentally causing a massive riot between supporters and opposers. While Nabi is stuck in jail, Doki tries to call him over and over to no avail. Heartbroken and believing that Nabi is no longer interested in her, she decides to break her cell phone and leave the paradise alone. So this one is definitely the darkest of the 5 shorts. It's animated primarily in black and white, with only Nabi's green scarf, Doki's blush and bow, and the numerous interspecies signs being the only things in color. This is both to emphasize the important colors of the shorts, and also show how Nabi's scarf and Doki's blush and bow lose color as they begin to lose hope, as well in my opinion to symbolize the black and white mindset of society in this short. I know the creators were worried that this would be too dark compared to the rest of the show, but in my opinion, I think they laid down the seeds early enough and gradually upped the risk in the previous shorts, where this doesn't feel out of left field. They also use lots of creative and harrowing visuals. The mental breakdowns of Nabi and Doki are especially heartbreaking and well animated. But don't worry, we'll transition into the next short, Step 5, Imagine, which is animated to the song Imagine by Brunch. In this, Doki ties a green ribbon to a tree branch before setting off to paradise alone. Nabi is now released from custody and comes across the tree branch with dozens of green ribbons, representing the wishes and dreams of people wishing for change. Realizing that he doesn't need to wait for the world to change, and he has others he could fight with, he takes off to find Doki before she leaves. Nabi dodges more groups of protesters on the way to the airport, and comes across the Scruffy Rabbits, Ilho presenting Nabi with Doki's second ticket to paradise. However, Nabi rips it up, wanting to stay and fight instead. Ilho sees Nabi's change of heart, and works together with Hana to get Nabi to the airport, where Doki is being scorned by both supporters and opposers. Nabi is able to reach Doki in time, where he is faced with signs of both the opposers and the supporters. However, he ignores both groups of protesters, and embraces Doki out of love. The two then leave the airport, ignoring debris thrown their way, and the short ends with them in front of the vending machines where they first met. Alright, let's go over what I thought of it as a kid and what my thoughts are of it now. I remember the first time I saw it being in my 5th grade class. While we were all enjoying the entirety of the series, I just remember how the emotion hit during Step 4, after Doki dropped her phone and the short came to a close. You could practically hear a pin drop as my class was stunned. Then as the teacher began to talk about the short, and how incredible it was that he could show so much emotion with no dialogue, I remember being so inspired by the series. While I did enjoy writing and drawing before, this really made me want to improve my skills and tell stories like this. Watching it now, the series is still very impressive. I love that you don't need to speak Korean to understand what's going on, and despite the style being simplistic, they still convey every emotion, both the tragic and the joyful. The themes of the series could apply to just about anyone. Those in queer relationships, interracial relationships, anyone who can understand what it's like to face prejudice against their love. I'm also a huge fan of the music, though I know that will be subjective for whether people like it or not. It's funny, emotional, and thoughtful, and even now, almost 20 years later, I still remember those feelings from childhood, and how much of an impact the series had on me. This is a series I will always remember and always recommend. Well, this video got deeper than I thought, but you know what? That's alright. If you like this video, make sure to subscribe to see more. Until next time, this is Danse Macabre, signing off. Bye bye.